What's going on, FA Nation? We're back here with another NASCAR DFS weekly preview podcast. This time it's the Bank of America ROVAL 400. That's right. We got the ROVAL this week. It's an elimination race in both the Cup and Xfinity series. So pay attention to that. Huge ramifications, a lot of stuff going on. And we have a co-host who's a little different. Welcome back there, Ed Rouse.
What's going on, salesman?
Aside from your Padres not showing up last night, how is everything else going?
Hasn't even been a minute yet, and you had to bring that up.
I'm sorry.
No, everything's going great
for them too, but
everything's going great. Last weekend was exciting. NASCAR World. I hated it for multiple reasons, but it was a crazy finish. And how many cars were just sitting idle and after that crash? Like what?
So it was the largest big one in the history of NASCAR. 28 cars were involved.
Unbelievable.
I think it was about a 30-minute red flag.
It was roughly a 30-minute red flag. Yeah.
Something like that. We had four wide racing a lot, which was fantastic. Again, another close finish. I think it was 6 thousandths of a second this time.
And so, again, not a playoff driver winning.
So 3 of the top 6 closest finishes in the history of NASCAR have happened this year, between Atlanta and then the first Kansas race and then Talladega last week. So it's been phenomenal. Again, yeah, you're right. Not a playoff driver winning. Playoff drivers have had some serious struggles in the playoffs this year. They put up a graph, I think, was it during Talladega or the first race of the round of 12, where it listed how many playoff drivers were involved in incidents or had trouble in each of the first handful of playoff races, and it's well over half of them in every race have had trouble.
They are indeed.
Look for that trend to continue again this week, because the ROVAL has produced some insane moments in its 6 years. The first race, we were talking about this before the pod. The first race saw Ryan Blaney win thanks to Martin Truex Jr. and Jimmy Johnson wrecking each other in literally the last corner on the last lap.
It happened.
Failing to get going. We've seen Chase Elliott hit the Rolaids relief wall in turn 1 there.
That's an ironic name for that wall, but yes.
Well, heartburn because it's the heartburn turn. So it's the Rolaids. Rolaids sponsors it because it's the heartburn turn. It's great. Fantastic sponsorship. We've seen him hit the wall, restart dead last with half the race to go, and then come back and win and do the iconic "Are you not entertained?" burnout while standing on top of his car. We saw Kevin Harvick wreck himself out because he was trying to wreck Chase Elliott and missed, and then screwed up his own car.
Just a bit outside.
Yeah, just a little bit. We've seen Bubba Wallace throw water at Alex Bowman here.
Oh yeah, forgot about that one. That was a classic.
Yeah. We've seen all sorts of stuff, and this year we're going to get more chaos because they changed the course.
They did change it. I was wondering because I was doing my research for this. I was looking at it. I was like, it doesn't look the same. Something's off here.
Yeah, what exactly did they do? So turn 7 it's the last corner in the infield section where they basically turn back onto the
where everybody
what would be turn 1 on the oval. It's where they turn back into that. Instead of kind of looping and then having turn 6 and then having a straight into the left that gets you back onto the oval. They have now basically made it like a Sonoma turn 11 to get onto the oval. So it's almost a hairpin to get onto the oval. So it should be pretty interesting. There's going to be a lot of chaos and a lot of passing chances there, because it's anytime you have a hairpin, somebody's going to try to outbrake somebody else and try to get on the inside of them. So, and there's no tire barriers like there are on Sonoma.
I was just gonna say, so that wall area is going to be
it's a wall. You gotta hang around the wall. You can't push the wall out of the way.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
So that should be fun. They have new turtles, I think, in place on the front stretch chicane. So we'll see. But that new turn is going to be very, very interesting. That's also why we get 2 20-minute practice sessions for each group on Saturday, because they changed it. So you got to get used to the new layout and stuff. So that'll be a little bit of a change. And anybody who's confused by my description, I'm going to try and find a map layout image and put it in the playbook so we can compare and contrast the differences. But it should be pretty fun. So I guess a little bit of so Rouse, how do you usually approach a road course for DFS?
This one's a little bit different though. Like I approach this race a little bit different than I would like Sonoma, or Coda, because you have the Roval effect where you can get speed up on half the course, right?
Correct.
So still has that kind of, who have I seen fast and, recently. Obviously, you're going to have your road course ringers out there in front. You got AJ, you got SVG, who's hasn't done this race in NASCAR, right?
In the Cup Series, correct.
In the Cup Series.
But he is racing it in Xfinity, so he'll
have that advantage. Yes. Obviously, Chase Elliott, Reddick's a really good road course driver. So, but then you got to go back in the history of this one, and a lot of times, who isn't the greatest road course driver still do really well here because of that speed area where you're doing the actual oval part of the course. So I kind of try to mix it in with road course ringers and like those traditional mile and a half guys too, and it normally works out for me here. So
yeah, you can't go strictly road course guys here, like you said. This is totally different than any other road course.
Yeah, I don't think I like SVG here and being the highest price. I really don't.
Yeah, we'll get into some sneaky plays and some sneaky fades when we get into the driver pool here. Just before we started recording, we were recording this about 2. It's almost 2 Eastern on Thursday. Here when we're recording, I just sent in my betting piece.
Nice.
So it'll come out, I'm guessing, either later today or Friday at some point. I made the point that this is unlike any other road course that we see. First, in one way it is, because laps led here, we don't typically get a laps led dominator. They're kind of split, right? We've seen that at some other road course races in the next gen car. There are the ones where one guy runs away from the field, but generally speaking, we're seeing 2, maybe 3 guys get chunks of laps led. But the main way that this is different is that in the 6 previous races here, the winners have come from 2nd through 19th in terms of starting spot.
That's a huge range.
Yeah. The pole sitter has never won. Okay. And we've seen, and in terms of Chase Elliott won from 2nd. The next closest is 6th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 19th. So if you're starting in the top 5, it doesn't necessarily guarantee you a very good finish. Unlike Watkins Glen, when we went there, because that's the last road race, almost everybody wins from the top 5 at Watkins Glen. Right?
Not a lot of passing there. That's for sure.
Not a lot of passing, although this year was different because Chris Buescher won it, and it was like he started way farther back. There was some pit strategy involved and whatnot. The other way this is different, what do we usually not see very much of at road races?
Passing
and yellows.
Oh, yes, right. Yellows.
Usually if you spin out on a road course, fine. Go figure out how to get yourself back on track. You're going to lose.
Because the course is a lot longer, right? It's a lot
there's
longer.
A lot more runoff. There's almost no runoff at this one because it's inside the confines of Charlotte Motor Speedway, right?
There's going to be a lot of cautions in this one.
There have been 47.
Yeah, that's
total cautions in the 6 previous races here. That's almost 8 a race.
That's crazy.
That includes stage breaks.
Are they doing stage breaks in this one? They are,
yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes, they have gone back to the stage breaks because it turns out when you got rid of stage breaks, the guy out front just stayed out front and
won the race. And it was boring. Yeah.
Yeah. So the fewest we've had was in 2022. We only had 4 cautions. 2 of those were stage breaks. So there were only 2 incident cautions. However, all the other 5 have had at least 7
Mm-hmm. And again, this is a cutoff race for the playoffs. So a lot of these playoff drivers are going to be a little bit more aggressive, especially the ones below the cut line right now. So yeah, it's going to get very interesting. I would say
that's a lot of pit strategy. That's a lot of lead changes. There's also a boatload of lead changes normally here. In the last year, there was 7 lead changes. That's the only one in single digits. The others have had between 10 and 17 lead changes a race. Okay. Doesn't mean that there's that many different people leading a lap, right? So don't confuse it with 17 different guys led a lap.
Last year, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
If 2 dudes swap spots every other lap.
Yeah, last year was Allmendinger and Reddick were going back and forth.
Correct. If 2 dudes swap spots every other lap, that counts as like 5 or 6 lead changes, but it's still only the same 2 guys leading laps, right? So doesn't necessarily mean the laps led are spread out massively. That being said, I think the most we've seen somebody lead at the Roval is like 50, 46.
That's a lot, though.
Yes, but it is 109 laps.
Yeah.
So it's still under half led by one guy. So, keep that in mind. We are targeting 2 different laps led leaders, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be, 50 and 50 and nobody else is going to get any. The most we're probably going to see is probably about 35 from a guy. Unless somebody shows up and just has it so nailed that they get like a 5-second lead and cautions don't matter.
I don't see that happening.
But I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that's not happening. Not in a cutoff race. I mean, no one's going to let that happen. It's
correct. And by the way, just because it's a cutoff race doesn't mean you can't play the road course guys who aren't in the playoffs.
100%.
We've seen this entire round is won by guys not in the playoffs.
Yeah, there's 2 of my favorite plays, which we'll get to the pools, are 11th and 12th right now on the bubble or below the cut line. Like that, I love at this course for this weekend.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be fun. And they cheap on DFS, man. They cheap.
Yeah. In terms of content schedule, obviously, if you're listening to this has already come out. It'll be out Thursday afternoon. You can also find it if you want to, if you listen to it before the playbook comes out, it'll be at the top of the playbook. So you can listen to it while you're reading the playbook. I hope to have the playbook out before practice and qualifying and then adjust it after that. We'll see how that goes. I have kind of a busy weekend in terms of my daughter's birthday is this weekend. And it's a holiday that I don't get to eat for like 24 hours. So there's a little bit of stuff going on. I'll try and have it done as quickly as
Mazel tov to you, my friend.
Thank you. I have to atone for my sins, basically, by not eating for 24 hours. So to those of you who practice, have a easy fast for Yom Kippur. And well, and then the betting piece is already done, written. It'll be out some point in the next day or so. Projections will be out probably Sunday morning, I would imagine. And also for those of you who may be listening in Florida, let's hope you're safe. I know that Dan Malin, who was vacationing in Orlando this week, is safe. He is good.
Of all times to go vacation in Orlando.
In fact, I was supposed to cover the Xfinity playbook for him because he was vacationing. So I was like, sure, why not? I'll cover it. And then he messaged me this morning and said, hey man, I don't really have much to do today. We're safe. So you don't have to worry about the Xfinity playbook. I got it because it'll give me something to do.
We have a guy on the ground who isn't on this podcast right now.
I mean, he's in a hotel with questionable Wi-Fi. So
yeah,
well,
but to be fair,
the playbook is already out. So congrats there to Malin for getting that done and taken care of. And with that, you want to go ahead and start breaking down the driver pool.
Let's do it.
All right. So we're gonna bring up the trusty DraftKings driver pool here for this week. And a couple things right off the bat. Only 3 dudes are above 10K.
That's correct. And all 3 of them are kind of road ringers.
Sort of, except for one.
Yeah, there's one that isn't, and he's in the sandwich there.
Yeah, so we've got SVG. He's very, very well known as road course ringer. I mean, that's what he does. He wins on road courses, right?
But again, this is a Roval, not a road course.
It is a Roval. He's not run it in a Cup Series yet. He will get some practice, obviously. He will also run it in the Xfinity Series. And we'll see. I don't know if my cat likes him or not. Who knows? The other guy, the other two, Kyle Larson and AJ Allmendinger. This is, without a doubt, AJ Allmendinger's best track.
Yeah, he's going to be the highest owned.
Yeah. He's run this 4 times in Xfinity. He's won it 4 times in Xfinity. He has run this race 4 times in the Cup Series. He won this last year in the Cup Series. Finished 4th the year before that.
Led laps in both. Led laps in all.
Yes. Finished 7th in his first Cup race here. He finished 38th in the second one. Only because his engine died. He was running 5th when that happened. So, yeah. AJ Allmendinger is a guy you're likely going to need pieces of. As my cat.
Now, Kyle Larson has won this race in the past.
He has. However, the rest of the history here is
not good. Yeah. Even with winning in his last 5, his average is 17.4 finish. That's not good. With a win.
Correct.
That's
correct.
Not good.
It's not what we would call ideal. And if we look at the 4 previous road races this year, he won one of those. But again, his average finish, even with a win, is 17.5.
He's consistent.
He's consistently mediocre at road course.
Yeah.
Right? He may run up front. He may lead laps. But I have serious concerns about where he's actually going to.
Are any, is anyone safe of the playoff drivers? Like, as William Byron's in first, he's at plus 7.4, so he's safe, right?
I think as soon as the green flag drops, he's going to be locked in, I would assume.
Okay.
Because
but I think
74 points is really hard to make up.
What about Christopher Bell's at 57? Larson's at 52. Is he safe at third? Can you lose 57 points in a race like this?
I would imagine that some point during the first stage they'll lock in.
That scares me a little bit, knowing he's not good here. If he locks in and they just kind of coast the rest of the way. I was actually high on Larson as like a GPP because I don't think he'll be that high owned. But now I'm kind of saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
If he locks in stage 1 and it just coasts the rest of the way,
I mean, winning here does obviously lock him in, right?
Yeah.
But so does basically not wrecking 3 laps into the race, right? But it also doesn't necessarily carry through past the round of 8. Like, it gives him a point lead going into the round of 8, but he's already 22 points back of Byron. So if Byron has a similar race, the win doesn't really lock him in, carry him past Byron and give him a leg up going through. Plus, I think there's just better tracks for him in the round of 8. And so if he's locked in, he's going to be more concerned with Homestead and Vegas and Martinsville, which are all usually pretty good Larson tracks.
I'll have a little bit, maybe one lineup with a minute, but I'm not.
I mean, if he comes out and he starts on the pole and you're looking for a laps led guy, then he becomes a factor.
Because what you're going to have to do is, obviously, Allmendinger is going to be highly owned. I feel Chase Elliott's going to be highly owned, which is right below him. I don't know about Byron, but I know he got second in this race last year. But I just think I'm looking at Larson and maybe even Byron as pivots from what everyone else is going to do here in this top tier. And obviously, I love Reddick. He's a must play for me here at that price.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they underpriced Tyler Reddick. I think a lot of people realize that, so he's going to be pretty highly played.
But he comes in. He hasn't won, but he's very good at this track. Like,
He is. His average finish in the 4 races he's run here is 7.0.
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't finished worse than 12th. Has a runner-up, a P8, and finished P6 here last year. And then in the road races this year, his average finish is 10.5, and again has 3 top 8 finishes, including a runner-up.
Yeah, he's so underpriced in this. It's gonna be crazy. But
yeah,
can you afford to not have him in your lineup is also the question. Like that's like even if he's 50% owned each, that's I'm not putting him in because I know he's going to be highly owned. What if he has what if he I think he had the pole last year. So if he gets the pole again this year and does dominate and is that 5-second car we talked about, like it's just going to be interesting with him. But he's obviously my favorite play for salary. But you're right. It's also going to be everybody else's.
Correct. He's just one of those guys who, I mean, let's not forget he's won road course races in the next gen era too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just because he hasn't won one this year doesn't mean he's not capable of doing so.
Even though he hasn't won one this year, I believe he's led laps in all of them, though.
I think you're right on that.
Yeah.
He's also only 14 points above the cut line, so there's incentive to run
Correct.
as best as he can.
Yeah, he may be my favorite of these top tier drivers, and he's the lowest priced of them, which is crazy to me. But
yeah, I don't know if I want to play SVG.
I'm not. I maybe after I watch practice and see qualifying, I may see how he does. But I'm just worried about the oval part of the Roval for him.
Yeah, I mean he's been decent in the Xfinity Series at ovals, to be sure. He did look pretty decent at Talladega for a chunk of the time, which obviously just totally different racing, but it is an oval, right? But I don't like what I've seen from him in road racing this year, right? Everybody's gunning for him. Everybody knows how good he is. He finished second at Watkins Glen after Chris Buescher made that move on him, right? But other than that, he's not been good. Like he had a terrible Chicago race.
Yeah, no, that was
terrible
bad.
Chicago
And
race.
Let's be clear too. It's his racing team as a whole has not been good at the Roval either.
Correct.
Ross Chastain has not been good on the oval. Wallace hasn't, right? So it's kind of like, if they haven't figured those guys out, why is SVG just going to come in here with the perfect car and dominate? I don't think so. I'm not willing to pay that much for him.
Yeah, that's my other thought process is at that price you need him to either start so far back that he has a ridiculous amount of PD, or you need him to pull off what he's started on average 6.7 in the 3 Cup road races this year. The last 2 he started inside the top 5. If he starts inside the top 5 and leads a crap ton of laps and then finishes inside the top 5, you get value.
Yeah,
but that's a pretty small margin.
I don't see that happening
for error. So
yeah, I'm off. Tyler
I
Reddick,
would agree. I don't think a lot of people are going to play Chase Elliott simply because Chase hasn't been great this year, right? We're still waiting for that dominant showing. Right? He's been solid. He's
just one of those solid, team like those solid teams no one talks about. Next thing you know, they're in the playoffs. He's one of those for the NASCAR. Yeah. He's been just getting good top 10s, but you're right, he hasn't had that like dominant run
correct
at any course like he's had like he did in 2020.
Yeah,
was the last time we see him really dominant, which is crazy. That's 4 years ago.
Yeah. He does have 2 wins here in the 6 races they've run. He just hasn't been anything other than solid at road races this year, which isn't to be demeaning, but one top 5 finish in 4 road races this year. Some of them have been things out of his control, but generally speaking, the 9 car hasn't had a ton of speed. So I think we can get a little bit of leverage with Chase because I do think he shows up this week at a track he's done really, really well at previously, and he needs the points. He needs a good showing. He's on the bubble.
Let me ask you about Chris Buescher, because he's a very interesting play. Obviously, he's not in the playoffs.
Correct.
But he's really good here.
Yes.
And I don't think he's going to be really high owned because people tend to put more on the playoff drivers.
Yes.
And I really kind of like him too. Average finish in last 3 is 5.3, right? Same as Reddick in the top 3 with 3 top 10s. So, and the average start is 19th, by the way.
That's true.
So he's moving up in this race. So I kind of like him as my second in this tier. I don't mind if you put in Reddick and Buescher and leave the guys above out, because that's what I've been playing around with. And there's some interesting lineups you could do here.
Yeah, you could totally live in the mid tier this week.
Totally, because I also like Ty Gibbs, who's 85. Busch has been good here the last 3 races.
Yes, he has
3 top 5s.
Yes,
I hate him this year, but eventually he's got to get his win, right?
I don't, because he has multiple top 10s this year. As bad as RCR,
they're bad.
He has shown up at the road courses.
Yep.
And Sonoma, which was a P12, should have been a top 10 until who used him as a brake check was a Chastain. They used him as a brake check, with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, they're best friends, those guys.
Yeah, they definitely like each other. So I think Busch is a pretty interesting. And remember, the P3 here last year was in an RCR car, so he's done P4, P3, P3 in the last 3 Roval races across 2 manufacturers and 2 teams. And one of those, and the whole time everybody said he's lost his touch, and yet he keeps reeling off top 5s here. So I think he's interesting. I think Ty Gibbs is a really interesting guy.
Very interesting.
He finished P4 here last year, and he's got 2 top 3 finishes this year. And didn't he put himself into the wall at Sonoma?
Yes.
Or was that Seabell?
I think that was Sonoma. Oh, wait. I don't remember.
It was definitely Sonoma where one of them spun themselves out.
Yeah. I think it was Sonoma. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, man! This year is so many races. So
he's had speed. So
yeah, I love that. Love Busch. Obviously, but I think Busch will be high. I think he'll be the highest owned, probably non-playoff driver at that price.
Really?
Because, dude, it's right here in front of me how good he is in the last 3 of this track.
I mean, that's true.
For that price.
Driver at that price.
However, there's somebody below him I like even more.
Yeah. Well, we're both on the same train with this next one. Alex Bowman just continues to be mispriced, and if you want to put odds on him, he's totally, the lines befuddle me this week for him.
It's true. He's been really good here, and the first thing I did after I did my research, I look at the salary, so I'm like, I was at the top, like, where's Bowman? Where the hell is Bowman? And then I saw, and I went, are you kidding me? He's the first person I put into my lineup.
Yeah, he's 8,100.
So dumb.
So technically below mid-tier, like below average price on DK, when you start building a lineup. All the guy has done is shown up in road races, not only this year.
This track.
He is tied for the second best average finish in the field at road races this year.
On this track, he's number 1 for average finishes, even though he missed because of the injury. I forgot. Was it Noah Gragson drove his car for him last year or 2 years ago?
Who drove it?
I think it was Gragson. But anyways, that car didn't do good, but that's because Noah Gragson was driving it. But
somebody drove, because it was like a fractured back.
Yeah. So you take that out, it's still like 6.4. He's only done 5 races here instead of 6, but
he's the only one he's one of 2 guys in the field with 5 top 10s in the last 6 races.
He has 5 top 10s. He's only raced 5 times. He's been in the top 10 every single time he has been on this course. And it's crazy if you could get plus money for top 10 for him right now betting.
Yes, you can. He's going off at like 25 to 1 to win, which I understand. He hasn't won here, but he did win Chicago.
That was a surprise too, but he raced well in that one.
He did. He has raced really quite well this year.
And plus 26 to the cut line.
Yes.
So, and you got Blaney and Reddick and Elliott behind him. So there's a lot. I think, he's the first man I put in. I am Reddick and Bowman are like the 2 main guys I'm kind of building my lineups around.
Yeah, let's see. So we got Reddick, Buescher. Is that who you were saying?
Bowman.
You were
And Bowman. I do like Busher too.
Bowman. Bush.
You sure? Yeah.
Ty Gibbs. Like, we're just living in the mid tier, and then you're gonna have to go find.
Yeah, you could probably take maybe Busher down. Watch this. So take Busher out.
Yeah.
Now go up.
Yeah.
And then where is? Oh, we didn't talk about Blaney.
We haven't talked about Blaney.
And he's really underpriced, I feel, in this as well.
He is. He's done really. How did I describe it in the betting piece? He's going off at 50-1 to win, which is odd considering the fact he has a win here.
He does have a win here.
Granted, it took 2 dudes wrecking in front of him to win, but whatever. It's a win.
It happens, okay?
It happens. I mean, that's how McDowell won the Daytona 500, right? 2 dudes who were teammates wrecked in front of him. So he has a win, but aside from the win, it's not like he just randomly showed up one run, won a race and then disappeared. His average finish is 5th best in the field here for any active driver.
Correct.
Right?
And
1.2.
He's 6th in most laps led in this course, too.
Yes. He has 4 top 10 finishes in the 6 races he's run here.
Why is he so cheap?
And oh, by the way, this year, he's got 2 top 10s and 3 top 12 finishes in 4 road races.
Throw him in there. See how much money we have left.
So I really don't get the pricing on Blaney, and we're at 8,000. And guess what? This perfect transition. How about Joey Logano? Don't like it?
No, I'd rather have Cindric.
You'd rather have Cindric.
Yeah, I really like Cindric, and my lowest price driver that I have in any of my lineups is Briscoe. So now we're in this tier right here. Okay. I really like Briscoe in this one too.
I don't mind Briscoe or Cindric. However,
okay, give me the love. I'm off on Logano. Okay.
You want to know who the only other driver with 5 top 10s is?
Is it Logano?
It's Logano.
Oh man, it wasn't on my stat sheet.
It's Logano. You want to know?
You're right here. You are right.
Who's tied with? So Kyle Busch has 3 top 5s here in the 6 races.
Also, funny enough, Logano pulls or qualifies better here than anybody.
Yes, and then he holds average spot.
Yeah, he only has 35 laps led though. Yeah. That's a little in 6 races. It's a little interesting, but
I mean, yes, but we're not playing him. We're playing him for finish position.
Correct. Yes.
If you get fastest laps or laps led, it's bonus. But
okay,
he's tied for the second most top 5s in the span here, right? Kyle Busch has 3. A handful of other guys have 2. Logano's one of them. He's tied with Bowman for the most top 10s at 5. He's got his average finish of 8.7 makes him 4th.
Damn it!
Behind only Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, and Alex Bowman. And it's playoff. Not to mention, it's technically a new layout.
Oh no! Not this. Every time there's a new type of course, Joey Logano shows up and wins.
How about this for another?
Joey Logano, the greatest dirt racer of all time.
How about this for another motivator? He's below the cut line.
That is true. He is below.
Along with Cindric and Briscoe.
Yep. I know Suarez has won a road course. I think he won Sonoma last year.
Yeah, he won it.
I am not on him at all.
No, I think it depends on where he starts. If he starts like 20th, I think he's playable because he's going to finish inside the top 15. I would.
Yeah, but again, that team, the Trackhouse team, has not been really great
at the Roval.
At the Roval. So, yeah, I'm kind of just saying all 3 of them. I'm just not playing.
But see, Cindric also, if we're using that argument, Cindric hasn't finished better than 21st in his 2 races here.
Yeah, but he's never been in the playoffs during this time.
Yeah.
And his other teammates have been. His other teammates have been both years. So they put more emphasis on their cars than they do on his car.
Yeah. Okay. So if we're under the impression that Ryan Blaney at plus 25 is going to be, if he gets stage points in stage 1, he's probably okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he will be.
Right? He's probably okay if he gets a handful of stage points.
I don't know, man. Plus 25. Yeah. Yeah, he'd have to. I think if he just finishes stage 1 with points, he'd be safe. Yeah.
He may need stage points in stage 2, maybe. Depends on how things break out and whatnot.
Yeah.
But then we're assuming that resources are going to be split between Cindric and Logano.
You know who I'm kind of nervous about in this? Is Denny Hamlin in all this. He's at plus 30. But, I mean, what's his price? Look what Denny Hamlin's price is. No, you got to scroll down.
Yeah, 7,100. I mean, it's fair. He's not a good road racer.
He's a terrible road racer. He's not good at all.
He's not been like
that plus 30 can slip real quick if he has issues.
Okay, here, like
I'm not touching him, but I'm saying like I would be a little concerned at plus.
He's got
plus 30 is a lot.
He's got 4 top 15 finishes here out of 6 races.
Yeah,
however, he's also not giving you a boatload of PD in most of those races.
Oh, he doesn't.
He started on the pole twice and has gone backwards both times.
Yeah.
And then he started 9th and finished.
Hamlin is the ultimate pole guy. I feel like he always wins the pole and it just sucks every time.
I mean, that's a possibility. Also, he's a little pulled in multiple directions right now. Yep. Thanks to the lawsuit against NASCAR that he's leveraging. Thank you, though, by the way, for that, because some financials are coming out that are very, very interesting that probably sways people onto his side. But yeah, he's kind of in the Larson camp of where they start and where they finish.
Yeah.
Aside from the fact that Larson has a win here, but like.
Yeah, I'm not touching Hamlin.
Yeah. So I don't know. I would lean. I think
Logano in this one, right?
Are going to get cute and go with Cindric and Briscoe because they're further back and they have pretty decent road histories. Everybody knows Cindric is a guy who can pass where there's no passing, and he grew up in open wheel and whatever. And Briscoe's had some pretty solid runs this year at road courses.
He's been actually. He started off the playoffs really bad, but recently Briscoe's been actually,
Yeah. I mean, Briscoe finished 6th at Watkins Glen.
Yeah.
So there's that. And Cindric finished 10th. He also finished 15th at Chicago Road Course. So I think people will be thinking about that. And Logano's been only okay at road races this year.
Yeah, that's the point that
we talked about how this one is different than all the other ones.
It is.
He seems to have figured out this one.
Mm-hmm.
And he needs to have a very good showing if he wants to have a run at a 3rd title.
Throw it in there, man. Throw it in there. Put Logano in there.
So I think Logano is a pretty interesting guy.
With 700 left over, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we just built a lineup with nobody but with everybody between 7,300 and 9,300.
Yes, same here. Here's mine. As I have Chris Buescher, Chase Briscoe, Bowman, Blaney, Reddick, and Gibbs in mine, and I have 200 left over.
This is where it gets tricky because it's like, am I like which of these mid-tier guys do I really want to pair with the other ones? This is kind of a little bit where game theory comes in and whatnot. But if we finish this up here, going a little bit below Briscoe, not touching Kez.
I'm not. There's no. No.
Gilliland is interesting.
No. He's had a bad year, man. Now, he was our darling last year for DFS, but this year he has been.
Are we sure about that?
At least every time I played him.
So at 4 road courses this year, his average starting spot is 25.8.
Yeah.
His average finish is 15.0.
Okay. All right. He has a little bit of PD there.
He has 2 top 10s in that span.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that being said,
how is he the
Roval? Not run the Roval very well.
No. Yes, not.
Although last year he did start 32nd and finish 23rd. So there is that. I'll take 9 spots of PD from him.
Yeah, but no.
But like, elsewhere, Ryan Preece could get interesting depending on practice.
I'm just like, you saw what we did. You could build 10 different lineups just at that mid tier, and that all are around there. And you could, and if you took Busch or someone down to Austin Cindric, you could actually afford one of the $10,000 guys. It's crazy.
That's true.
So there's so many things you could do without getting too cute with this down here.
I will say that if you like the speed in RCR, Austin Dillon.
No.
He has finished 15th, 10th, and 14th in the last 3 Rovals. I'm just telling you how it is.
How has he done this year in road courses?
In road courses, let's go find out. I don't think it's very good.
It's not.
Now, I will say...
He did win a race this year, which he was acting like it was a road course at the end, though.
Well, that's true. But I will say that I believe he ran reasonably well at Sonoma before having an issue, if memory serves. I don't think that finish is actually indicative of how fast he was. Let me go ahead and see if I can pull up the loop data for Sonoma's race this year, because I think he's credited with like a 36th place finish, but I don't think that's
his average start at the Roval is 17.3 and finishes 20th. He loses 3 spots on average per race.
Yeah, but look at the last 3. He's got 3 straight top 15s. All I'm saying is, if he's starting outside the top 15, he's intriguing at that point. I'm not saying he's a must play for budget. I'm just saying
I get you.
He's an interesting guy. And Austin Dillon started 16th. He got up to 8th at Sonoma. He did finish 36th, so he wrecked out.
Yep.
Midway through. Yeah, I think Ty Gibbs, by the way, was the one who wrecked himself out.
That was Ty Gibbs. Yeah.
Spinning in the first, he spun himself out. But I will say he was running in the Austin Dillon was running inside the top 10.
This is okay. Of every track in the history of Austin Dillon,
yes,
his average finish, Homestead is 1, 8.7.
Yes,
Charlotte Roval's 2, tied for second with Indianapolis at 13. I'll give you that. However, his worst finishes in his career, tracks: Chicago Street, Indy Road Course, and Watkins Glen, bottom 3.
Okay, well, the Indy Road was a chaotic 3-race set. Like, we can't.
Coda
hasn't 18, exactly been.
Coda 18, Sonoma 17.
Yeah, it's not great. I'm not saying he's a top 10 guy and he's a must play.
I get that. I just can't believe that out of his bottom 10 are most of them are all road courses, but number 2 is the Charlotte Roval. It's crazy.
Yeah. All I'm saying is, like, his average finish in the last 2 races is better than Austin Cindric's here.
Yeah, okay. That's true.
It's
I didn't put Cindric I did not put Cindric in my lineup. I like Briscoe. I did not put Cindric in there.
Yeah, he's better than Ross Chastain here over the last 5 races. So I'm not saying he's a must play. I'm simply saying that if you want to get creative and you need some extra money,
he's the best of anyone under 6,000 or 7,000, I would say.
Yeah.
Besides Gillian, I guess too. But
curious who's scored how he is in average points scored at road courses this year on DK.
So are we not even touching at all before we call it a day? Are we not even touching William Darrell Wallace Jr.?
I mean, it's a road course, man. Right turns are involved. Well, okay. So he's gotten better. He has gotten better. He is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th highest scoring driver on average on DK on road courses this year. So he's basically finishing where he starts.
And you're getting him at what? 5,900. So that's not that's not bad.
Not terrible.
I'm interested to see where he qualifies for sure. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this, what we're talking about right now, qualifications will matter
correct
tremendously. But yeah, he is. I mean, there's no one now. Yeah, Gilliland and Dylan, and then nothing.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do some digging. I'll get you some stuff by Saturday for some budget guys. But there's not a ton of road ringers this week.
What about Kaz Gralla?
Oh boy.
What about Kaz Gralla here? Hold on, I'm seeing some stuff.
He got 14 spots of PD at Chicago.
Yep.
To him. He got 3 spots of PD at Hopkins Glen. At Sonoma, he got 13 spots of PD at Sonoma.
Let's go.
You. And he got -5 spots of PD at Coda.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's interesting. It's interesting.
I mean,
now, did he run? Has he ever ran this race?
That's an excellent question.
I don't think he has. I don't see him on the list here. I don't think he has.
Let's go find out if Kaz Gralla has ever run.
Not in Cup.
No, he has not run the Cup race.
Yeah, I'm not. Damn. I thought I found a diamond in the rough there, but I just saw he was really good at Chicago, and I was like,
I mean,
for the price. So there you have it.
Yeah, that'll be the preview for the Bank of America ROVAL 400, which is Sunday afternoon. We have practice Saturday afternoon. Qualifying is immediately after practice. It's right in between the Xfinity practice and qualifying, and then the Xfinity race.
Yes,
it is a cutoff race, so that should be fun. And we'll have you all prepped on Saturday with the playbook and projections and rostership and whatnot. And I'll be around most of the weekend in Discord to answer some questions. Check out Malin's Xfinity playbook that's already out and up on the site.
Mm-hmm.
And with that,
and go bet on Bowman right now. Top 10 for plus money before it's too late.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, Logano and Blaney also both plus money for top 10.
Yeah. Now I'm kind of bummed I sent in the betting piece and didn't put Logano in there.
Just saying, Logano plus 175.
Yeah.
Blaney plus 210.
I do have Blaney as a plus 210 guy in the betting piece.
That's cool. I love that.
It's insane.
Love to see it. Race going to be awesome. I cannot wait, man. Thanks for having me on again. Maybe I'll come on for the grand finale this year. We'll do something.
We'll see. We'll
let's have a party.
I mean, they're bringing Nelly for the pre-race concert for the championship, so we got to do something special, right?
Hell yeah, got some country grammar. Let's go.
There you go. All righty. Well, with that, we will say peace out for this preview, and good luck, FA Nation, with the Bank of America ROVAL 400.